Good morning and Merry Christmas! For anybody who celebrates Christmas, it is Before Coffee, Wacky and Weird Wednesday Christmas edition. We're going to cover some wacky and weird stories and some Christmassy strangeness that's going on as well. So I hope you are having a good morning and a good afternoon wherever you are. This is Before Coffee, the father and daughter comprehensive news of Planet Earth podcast, where we look up our news 10 to 15 minutes before we started, and we haven't had any caffeine. So, what is in this nice and cozy Christmassy headlines today? I'm trying to think of something to say there. Today on Christmas Before Coffee, Alfie Boe sings happy birthday to UK's oldest man, and YouTube traffic in Russia drops 80% as authorities try to curb access.
Breaking news: 32 passengers, including a girl, survive Azerbaijani plane crash. And a Detroit area library says a Chicago man can keep his overdue book after 50 years.
Let's look at the Dutch Christmas story, a little year in review with some hinged in humor.
Rochester, New York has a crow problem, or do the crows have a Rochester, New York problem?
Have yourself a freaky Christmas, the strangest European folklore explained.
And it's National Pumpkin Pie Day, so that 2 or 3 days a year you appreciate pumpkin pie. This is one of them. On December 25th. Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, and all that fun stuff on Before Coffee.
Today is actually Hanukkah. It's both Hanukkah and Christmas, a rarity.
Woo!
They
And
both
it's Wednesday.
are on the same day.
It's Wednesday, everybody in the United States, because we have cheap employers get a split week with one day
Yeah!
off in the middle. Yay! We're so
Instead of
special.
just
We get a day off in
letting
the
you
middle.
take the entire week off. Instead, fuck you.
And as if to make sure you know you got a shitty employer, they're going to do it again next week for New Year's. Yeah.
I mean, that's why a lot of people take
know
off. They take off those 2 days or whatever, and then you only have 4 days off. And next year's days off count as next year's days off, not this year.
That's right. January, we gave you a day off, you son of a bitch. All right. Well, I did nothing on it, so anyway.
Thanks for paying me, I guess, and I'm glad I was here.
Not even doing that. My job, I'm not going to get paid for it yet because I've been there long enough.
Oh, okay.
They got to make rules. So I can't have somebody come in here, take a bunch of days off and quit. That makes sense.
Well, somebody who can take a day off, or probably for the rest of their life, is the 110 old man, the oldest man in the UK, who had opera star Alfie Boe serenade him for his happy birthday celebration. This is from Dan Martin on BBC News. The singer made a special appearance by video call during Donald Rose's celebrations, which was yesterday on the 24th of December. Mr. Boe said it had been a pleasure to sing for Mr. Rose from Ickleston, Derbyshire. The 110-year-old said it had been very nice to hear Mr. Boe sing and rewarded him with a round of applause. The call, organized by staff at the Canal Vue care home where Mr. Rose lives, was part of a day of celebrations involving the former soldier's family, friends, and civic dignitaries. He even received a card from Buckingham Palace. Mr. Rose was born in Westcott in Surrey on the 24th of December, 1914, and served in World War II with the Queen's Royal Regiment. After joining the army, he trained as a sniper and served in North Africa and Europe, and said he put his longevity down to salty water he had to drink during his time in the desert. Maybe that is what happened. Among the guests at his birthday celebration was Mayor of Erwish, Kate Fenley, who described the veteran as a national treasure. Mr. Rose's son David, 76, said, "That is just amazing. He has been a great father, grandfather, and great-grandfather. He always worked so hard. After the war, he drove a dust cart, then worked for the gas board, and he would do any work to put food on the family table. He was strong as an ox. Amazing to think my dad is the oldest man in the country. We've all had a really lovely day, and it's a great way to start Christmas." So there's your little feel-good, It's wacky that he's 110. That's pretty old, but
wow.
Like I've been saying, millennials are going to live to be 130, 150 at this point, at this rate.
That'd be cool to have a kid that's 76.
That'd be crazy, yeah.
Still,
or more wacky news. Let's go to Russia, which is always being wacky and weird with what it tries to do, like control people's access to YouTube. One of the most, I would say, key things to be on the internet. I think YouTube, if you're gonna do anything on the internet, you need to be on YouTube, because it's not just, entertainment, but there's a lot of, we're on YouTube right now, but there's a lot of information on YouTube for free. And
a lot of misinformation too,
that too. And Russia doesn't like that. Russia's efforts to curb YouTube access appear to be taking effect. This is on the Kyiv by Tim Zarozny. The Kyiv Independent, sorry. The Russia's efforts to curb YouTube access appear to be taking effect, as traffic to the platform has plummeted to 20% of normal levels, the Moscow Times reported on December 23rd, citing experts. The ongoing slowdown, reportedly implemented by Russian regulators to restrict access to the service, has made the platform nearly unusable in the country. Russia's communications regulator, Roskomnadzor, began throttling YouTube speeds in July. Oh, they made it slow. They just made it incredibly terrible to use. Oh, that's pretty clever, if not weird. Initially blaming technical issues caused by wear and tear on Google servers. Google dismissed the claim, while Russian lawmaker Alexander Kinstein later confirmed the slowdowns were intentional. Kinstein, head of the State Duma's Information Policy Committee, said the measures target YouTube's administration for allegedly ignoring Russian legislation. What do you mean? They wanted YouTube to take all the gay stuff off or something? Yeah, good luck. By September, YouTube's loading speeds in Russia had dropped significantly, with the average video start time for fixed networks increasingly nearly tenfold, from 1.2 seconds in June to 11 seconds. Imagine sitting here and waiting 11 seconds for your video to load. What is this? 1990? The Moscow Times claims. In December, operators extended the slowdowns to the mobile version of the platform, further hindering access. During his annual press conference on December 19th, Vladimir Putin defended the restrictions, claiming that YouTube's declining performance was the result of the platform's own actions. Okay. He argued that Roskomnadzor's complaints against YouTube were justified, insisting the platform must adhere to Russian laws to operate effectively in the country. The move follows escalating tensions between Google and Russian authorities. In April, a Moscow court upheld nearly $50 million in fines against Google for refusing to remove content deemed by Russia as discrediting its military and promoting extremism. On October 29th, a Russian court fined the tech giant 2.5 decillion. Huh? What? Decillion. Not trillion. Decillion for allegedly blocking pro-Kremlin propaganda on YouTube.
That would be quadrillion is 4. Decillion 10, wouldn't it?
10 zeros.
No,
10 zeros.
10 zeros. Way more than 10 zeros.
20 zeros.
No, they go in threes, right?
Okay.
So 1,000 is 3. Million is 6. A billion is 9, right? So it's not zeros. It's
18.
exponential. It's exponential of a million. A million to the power of 10, something like that.
100,000 ruble fine, which is now $96, was originally imposed in 2020, and under Russian law, the penalty has been multiplied weekly. Okay, so that's what it was. It was originally $960 in 2020, and weekly it's been increased to 2.5 decillion. That's why it's so much.
Wow.
Okay.
Imagine being a decillionaire.
Yeah, nobody would know. I don't want to even think of anybody being
that.
that.
More money that exists in the world.
If somebody becomes a quadrillionaire, I think they should die. Like, somebody should kill them. Straight up. I'm saying that now. If there's a CEO out there with quadrillion, it's over for them. Just take them to the guillotine. Anyways, that's my weird and wacky story. The oldest man in the UK and trying to block YouTube from Russian citizens by throttling the network. I can't say it's not creative. On to your story.
There is 33 zeros in 1 decillion.
33 zeros. There you go.
It's easy to figure out, right? Because there's 3 in 1,000, right?
Yeah.
Right? So 30 is 10 more different times. So 1 would... And just keep 30. So... billion, pi, right? Trillion, try. Just end up with 30. 30 zero. Crazy. That's a lot of money that no one will ever have. I think you take all the governments in the world and they raise taxes to 100%. They collect that much. Okay, so we're going on to a tragic story, which does have survivors, so there is some hope. This is from ndtv.com. 32 passengers, including girl of 11, survive Azerbaijan Airlines plane crash. 32 people survived the impact of a plane crash in Kazakhstan's Aktau city Wednesday afternoon. 22, including an 11-year-old girl and a 16-year-old teen, were hospitalized. Kazakhstan's Ministry of Emergency said there were at least 30 confirmed deaths. The plane, a Azerbaijani Airlines carrying 62 passengers and 5 crew, was flying back from Baku to Russia's Grozny. Fog at the destination caused it to be routed to Aktau, which is around 1,800 kilometers away. However, the plane approached Aktau, which is spelled Aqtau, that's how I pronounce it, Aktau International Airport, and as yet unspecified crisis triggered an emergency landing request. Tragically, the aircraft, an Embraer ERJ-90, never made it far. Initial reports suggest the plane was hit by a flock of birds, causing a possible steering malfunction and/or damage to an engine. Pilots tried to regain speed and altitude, but the controls failed. It crashed around 3 kilometers from the airport. Horrific videos on social media picked up the plane in a nosedive, losing altitude rapidly, slamming it to the ground and bursting into flames.
Oh, God.
This Kazakh Transport Ministry said 37 of the plane's passengers were from Azerbaijan, 6 were from Kazakhstan, and 3 were from Kyrgyzstan, and 16 were from Russia. Among the many videos being shared online is one that zooms in on a clearly struggling airplane. In the video posted by BNO News Live, the plane appears to jerk up and down midair a few times, even seemed to regain control momentarily, gaining altitude before it all went horribly wrong. In the 36 seconds of the 2.5-minute video, the plane goes into a steep dive, tilting to its right as it hits the ground, bursting into flames and breaks into pieces. The plane's course on online flight tracking website Flight Radar showed it crossing the Caspian Sea, veering right from its normal route and circling over the area where it eventually crashed. Pictures of the crash site revealed a horrific scene, which you can imagine pieces of fuselage and tail were scattered across the remote dusty field, distinguished by dirt road zigzagging through it. Videos shared by Kazakh's Orda news agency showed some survivors being helped out from under the wreckage. One shot showed an elderly man stumbling away with blood on his head, while another showed a young woman in a white coat wandering around the wreckage in apparent shock. In the same video, a young boy, his jacket stained with blood and dirt, is held by an emergency services personnel. Meanwhile, in the distance, the other half of the plane can be seen still burning. The plane exploded into a ball of fire as it hit the ground, and the blaze kept burning for a while after the impact. Kazakh emergency personnel finally managed to put out the fire. Azerbaijan President Ilham Aliyev cut short a visit to Russia, where he was due to attend an informal summit leaders of the Commonwealth of Independent States, a group of former Soviet nations. Azerbaijan's First Lady Mariam Ayeva is also the country's first vice president. She said she was deeply saddened by the news of the tragic loss of lives in a plane crash near Aktau. They spelled it differently this time. They put a K instead of a Q, so it's real strange editing on there. That's sad news. Some people survived. We will point out that plane crashes are very rare, and surviving them even more rare. So tragic news, but still some hope, I guess you want to call it. And I guess you could watch the video. That's one good thing about everybody having a camera these days. When you have plane crashes like this, and you can learn a lot. What went wrong, what you can do in the future. Yes, people died, but at least we can learn, hey, there's this thing we can do with planes. Maybe some engineer will see the video and say, aha, that thing I thought of 5 years ago, that'll work. You never know what's going to happen, but at least we got a lot of videos to answer all the questions. And let's get on to a better news story. This one is from AP. Ed White of AP News. Detroit Area Library says Chicago man can keep overdue baseball book 50 years later. Oh yeah. Read all about Willie Mays while he's still playing. Well, Willie Mays is like about towards the end of his career, maybe the last 2 years. Anyway, this was updated on December 14th, so this is 10 days old. 50 years later, a man who grew up in suburban Detroit tried to return a very overdue baseball book to his boyhood library. The answer? You can keep it, and no fine. Chuck Hildebrand, 63 of Chicago, said he visited the public library in Warren while downtown for Thanksgiving, carrying a book titled Baseball's Zaniest Stars. Great title for Weird Wednesday, huh? He had borrowed it in 1974 as a 13-year-old baseball nut, but never returned it. When you're moving with a bunch of books, you're not examining every book, you throw them in a box and you go, said Hildebrand, who's lived in many cities. But 5 or 6 years ago, I was going through the bookshelves, there was a Dewey Decimal Library number on the book. What is this? Inside the book was a slip of paper indicating that it was due back at the Warren Library on December 4th, 1974. Hildebrand told the Associated Press that he decided to keep the book until 2024, the 50th anniversary, and try to return it. He figured the library might want to publicize the long overdue exchange. He said he recently met library director Osana Urban, who listened to his pitch. Hildebrand said he hasn't heard anything since then, though Urban told the Detroit Free Press that all is forgiven. Some people never come back to face the music, she said, patron of overdue books. There was really no music to face because he and the book were erased from our system. So Baseball's Zaniest Stars is back on Hildebrand's shelf. In return, he's now trying to raise $4,564 for Reading is Fundamental, nonprofit library book, nonprofit literacy. Not library. Oof. The amount roughly represents the 50-year overdue library fine. Hildebrand is seeding his effort with $457. So good for this guy. He's not paying his fine, but he's giving money to a reading program that tells people that reading is fundamental. If you can't read, you can't do anything. You're going to sit around and fake it your whole life. If you got dyslexia, that's fine. They have reading programs for that, right?
Yeah.
Learning to read. You don't have to have anybody explain it. Of course, it'd be nice if he could raise $456 decillion for reading as fundamental, but nobody has that kind of money. So
no.
Here's a story. Both of them, one of them hopeful, I guess, one of them tragic. Back to you. The other side of the planet.
Oh, right. Well, not the other side completely, but definitely close.
Getting there.
Speaking of being in somewhere else, let's do this little... This is the satirical... It's supposed to be humorous, so don't take it too seriously, but a website called Hain Style. So no style, literally, no style. Which their tagline is... Let me read their tagline here. Really explains the website's I can't get rid of this reading mode now. Let me Hain Style, which stands for I need to translate it because I can't read. Oh, I can read Dutch, but you guys can't understand. Biased, unfounded, and needlessly hurtful. So that's the tagline. So this is going to be like a kind of goofy and wacky retelling of this year, 2024. It's a tradition. A year in review as Christmas story. Fun to read between courses. So, this is the Christmas story. A long time ago, to be precise, after November 22nd, 2023, there lived a few people who loved each other very much. Their names were Gert and Peter. God, they were so happy together. They were even happier when it turned out they would have an extra parliamentary cabinet together, and that the boss would be a special child, a child who would bring polarization to the people. Geert and Peter had not come up with that themselves. An angel named Richard van Zwol had told them, the messenger of the god. He also told them that they should call the child Dick Schoff. That's the current prime minister of the Netherlands, by the way.
Oh, okay.
He's Jesus come again. One day, Geert and Peter heard that they had to get the hell out of X and head for Blue Sky, because that's where all the interesting people were, with a very good opinion. They were told this by all sorts of extremely important institutions, such as Werder Bremen, the political wet underpants Volt. Volt's party is the far-right party of the Netherlands, and the local newspaper Het Parool. Peter got really stressed out. He was pregnant with Schoff's cabinet. I can't get the hell out of Blue Sky now, can I? One day Peter said, what if we just stayed at Twitter? Well, he knew that. Dirty, dirty racist, dirty fascist, shouted hordes of UVA girls. I'm a UVA girl, University of Amsterdam, who in the evening went to drink very expensive and filthy natural wine in a tent with an industrial-looking vintage furniture. How much we love the world and how much we love Palestinians and what genocide is going on, wailed Fenna Lena, sustainability coordinator and climate officer, 7,000 gross EU a year, at a major chocolate bar brand. Peter recorded a video in response. Guys, something really bad has happened. Now I'll probably spend the rest of my life in jail. Peter had to take a break. Geert communicated this in a message on Twitter and concluded, well, now you're all up to date, one way or another. That evening, Geert counted how much money he had left for the trip. It wasn't much, but it wasn't a problem, because he was going to cut back the NPO. Go! NPO gone. Go! 3FM gone. Everyone lived happily ever after, and everyone had more money. Yay! Cut all those government spending and give it all to your friends. The next morning, Geert got up early to look for an electric car to go to Blue Sky. Unfortunately, the power grid was overloaded because the simple journey by train would cost 2 days and 900 euros. They would be buried under child urine, blobs of mayonnaise, and other passengers' period blood during that journey. They decided to go to Blue Sky with a donkey. The donkey's name was Jeskelots. The journey to Blue Sky took days because they had to let everyone know 10 times that they were going. That is very cool and rough. We're really going now, said Peter. We're going to Blue Sky, Geert shouted. Can you hear us? Peter asked. We're really leaving Twitter, Geert said. During the trip to Blue Sky, Peter was able to watch sports on his Hezbollah pager. He did this via Starlink, only he had to read in the newspaper that he is now guilty of drugging and raping children because he uses a product from Elon Musk. Well, there was sports on the television, wasn't there? Worthy de Jong threw in a three-pointer. Femke Bol ran for gold. Femke, of course, is the famous runner that funny clip during the Olympics where she had a really high voice because she just finished running and she was like, I did not know I won! The Netherlands was eliminated by England in the Euro football. I think it's going to happen, Peter shouted at one point. Shit, we have to give birth somewhere out of our cabinet, P. Diddy said. There's that old stable over there. The stable was called the Cat House. Took a few hours to get there because Snorlax had blocked the road. That's a Pokemon, a really big Pokemon that falls asleep. Together with 4 other leeches from the XR, Snorlax had heart problems. Truss had to leave in time for bridge. Jantine had a hip operation a day later, and Marjan had a leaking tenna lady and no spare room with her. There was some idiot from Green Links who nobody knows. Geert put Peter on a mattress from the Mat Sleeps. The donkey was allowed in, and the ox came along too. The ox was called Caroline. And in the night it happened. In the old stable called Het Cat House, the little cabinet was born. Peter wrapped it in a few official documents. Geert filed a bookcase with Korans, and Peter carefully placed the baby in it. That way it lay nice and warm and soft. Then Geert sat down next to Peter. He put his arm around him. Together with the donkey and the ox, they looked at the little person. They all had tears and happiness in their eyes. They had never seen anything so beautiful, and they named their baby Dick Schoff, as the angel had said. Outside, the mayors tried to keep the anti-Semites away from their Jews. They had to install wolf-proof fences, but they heard nothing about anti-Semite fences. They knew it. Their Jews were hunted down, chased, thrown into the water, and asked for their passports. Well, it's kind of their own fault, the mayor said afterwards. The anti-Semitic Jew hunters puffed happily in their hookahs and their community center. This way, they can hunt Jews without fear and without worry, because NOS and the Volkskrant will convince the people that it's the Jews' fault. Benna Lena completely agreed. An angel named Joost appeared above the program. He sang about a star, but was unfortunately disqualified. That, of course, is a reference to the Euro. What was it called again? The Euro.
Euro Cup?
No, the singing competition. I always forget what it's called.
Eurovision.
Joost getting disqualified for hitting a camera woman. The star named Trump appeared above Het Cat House. Aha! That is where we need to be, said the three wise men from the east, Nora Akbar, Renit Clever, and Vicky Maliere, who dotted in their I's and crossed the T's over their thesis from the internet. The wise men logically went to Mark Rutte. Did you have sex again, you old pervert? They asked Rutte, who sadly pointed to the Het Cat House. That's where you need to be. And so it happened. The door was blown open with a cobra, and the wise men knelt down in front of Matt Slep's mattress. They knew for sure this was the child of God, that this was Dick Schoff. They congratulated Geert and Peter and made themselves available for the cabinet. It was a big mess, and they were glad they had experienced it. So there you is, the mess of 2024 for the Dutch people, and some references to other global phenomenons like the Palestine and P. Diddy, of course, pointing out where to give birth to Dick Schoff. It's like a little Mad Libs, if anybody's ever played Mad Libs. It's kind of like a Dutch Mad Libs. So there's my wacky and weird story coming out of the Netherlands of this year in 2024. On to the next one, and some more funny adventures, I'm sure, for Geert and Peter.
Yep. We want to learn more about these characters that get sent up.
Yeah.
It's satire. All right, so crows, or nothing about crows. This happened last week, but it's an interesting thing. Okay, you gotta know about it. This is from SmithsonianMag.com. Eli Wizovich Fit is the author. Officials ward off 20,000 crows with flares and lasers in upstate New York. Annual battle waged in cities nationwide. Oh yeah, okay. Now the crows aren't going to stay. They're going to go and nest somewhere else, probably where. Although they seem to get along. They seem to congregate around. But anyway, yeah, tens of thousands of crows coming to town. As I clear my throat. Tens of thousands of crows coming to town in a cawing, swirling, dark mass. Sounds like a scene from Alfred Hitchcock's The Birds, but in cities across the United States where crows are taking over residents and officials are faced with the dilemma. Should they let the highly intelligent birds be or roust them away from downtown areas? In Rochester, New York, frustrations with the crow population, which reaches upwards of 20,000 each night during the holiday season, have prompted city officials to use serious scare tactics to ward off the roosts. According to David Andriata of the New York Times, beaming lasers at buildings, shining high-powered flashlights into the night sky, and playing recordings of a distress corvid sounds are all part of the non-lethal arsenal that wildlife specialists in Rochester have an annual habit of using to break up the massive murders, as a group of crows is known. How cool is it that a group of crows is called a murder of crows?
Yep.
A news clip from 13 WHAM ABC News, a local Rochester channel, shows an official in yellow vest firing a flare gun into the sky while crows circle overhead and sit in dense clumps in nearby trees, like they're in a duck blind.
Dense clumps.
We're in a duck blind.
Yeah.
We're just going to be in a duck blind shooting flares. It's non-lethal. It doesn't hurt them. It just moves them. Unless you hit one with the flare, then it does hurt them, right? Karen St. Aubin, the city's director of operation, tells the network. Crows roost in cities out of convenience, especially during the winter when the ambient heat of this urban area keeps them warm. Lights at night, as well as often as open spaces like grassy parks and parking lots, make tracking and hunting prey easier. Crows basically like what human beings have done to North America. Kevin Gowan at the Cornell Lab of Ornithology told the New York Times. James Gorman back in 2004, when Auburn, New York was facing such high numbers of crow visitors that residents were encouraged to kill as many as possible in conversational crow shoot competition. Crows don't deserve to live. They're not like me. They make noises. I can't handle it. In my life, I gotta kill crows. They're better off being in a big group where they can get benefit of all those lies looking out for danger. John Marslove, a corvid expert at the University of Washington and the author of Gifts of the Crow, explained to the Atlantic's Tone Danovich in March. But city officials complain that crows are far too messy. The problem is that these are not little birds, and these are not little drops they leave behind. They're big, slimy, and disgusting. What's turds, man? Turds are supposed to be
babies.
Yeah, because human turds are so welcoming and warming. Oh my God, poop is disgusting, Shelley Larson says. I paraphrase her. The superintendent of community improvements in Danville, Illinois, told the Chicago Tribune in 2021, the western town has a human population of under 30,000, but a regular contends with more than 100,000 crows. You mean the town has a population of 100,000 crows and it contends with 30,000 people? There's more than one way to look at it. We used to have the power wash benches, sidewalks, and statues. You're going to ruin a statue by power washing it, idiot.
Yeah, I think so.
St. Aubin of Rochester tells the New York Times it's really about maintenance. Some of these larger roofs are in public places and they can make the money. She reasons that the $9,000 the city spends on crow deterrents each year is worth it. Some Rochester residents disagree and find the city's methods exclusively cruel to birds, excessively and exclusively. Well, it's actually not exclusively. They're probably scaring the shit out of a lot of animals. Dogs, for instance. Cats. Fish. Nobody thinks of the fish. Nobody. Anyway, a Facebook called Rochesterians for the Crows has more than 1,000 members. According to its bio, the group began in February 2012 in response to the city's intolerable actions against a massively intelligent, often misunderstood bird that tends to polarize community across the nation. The group's members share reverent photos of the roosts, memes that say things like, "Be the crow you wish to see in the world," and petitions to curb what they see as aggressive anti-crow action. Some members of the group point towards Portland, Oregon as a role model. I was just there yesterday as a role model for dealing with urban crow populations. They cheer Portland's purchase of the so-called Poop Master 6000.
Oh my God.
Master 6000. That's right. There was 5,999 models before they got right. A high-powered ride-on street sweeper with a scrubber as a way to address the problem of corvid feces without disturbing the birds. The big problem is poop, apparently. You know, geese poop's a big problem too, but nobody's shooting the geese. The Bird Alliance, they're not shooting the crows, to be fair, except New York City. They're insane. The Bird Alliance of Oregon states that Portland nonprofit managing city cleanliness. Let's do this again because it's in Oregon. The Bird Alliance of Oregon states that Portland nonprofit managing city cleanliness has committed to using non-lethal tactics to deal with crows, and even testified in favor of a ban on crow poisons. But in recent years, Portland is also leaning on hazing, including contracting licensed falconers to use hawk's nest to push the crows away from downtown. Yes, bring in falcons. And then you're going to have a falcon problem you can complain about. I don't know. The hazing has been very successful, writes the Bird Alliance of Oregon. The hawks, without touching the crows, have steered them towards parks and green spaces along the Willamette River, where conflicts with humans are reduced. Among the various hazing alternatives, it is probably least disruptive and closest to what they might experience in our natural circles. Gowan once, for one, thinks Rochester's efforts are in the right direction, although he now adds to the New York Times that you can get them out of a neighborhood or away from the town hall, but you're not going to get rid of them. There's a reason to get rid of them. I have no fucking idea why you have to get rid of them. But you go ahead, give me a reason. One poster in the Facebook group, a self-described Corvette fanatic who only recently learned about Rochester's predicament, finds the very idea of dispersing crows ignorant and remote. I'd pay cash to experience a massive crow roosting such as the ones your elected officials are spending your taxes trying to disperse, he adds. Rebrand Rochester as Crow City and place a few tiny ads in some birding magazine. The hotels will soon fill. The restaurants will have to hire more staff and everybody wins. That's right. Birding is a thing people do with their, especially retirees, love watching birds. Bird watching, very underestimated hobby worldwide, very popular worldwide. And shoot, if you can get so many crows in one place and you can observe their behavior with each other in a village, man, that's a great birding trip, I would think. I'm editorializing now, and the story's over. So, and I hope you got the video I sent.
I haven't gotten it yet.
You haven't? Okay, go to Facebook.
Oh, sorry,
Messenger.
let me look, though. It might be here.
It should be there.
No, my Facebook.
And while you're looking, I'll play the banjo.
I have not gotten a message.
Really?
No, I have not.
That's odd. Okay, while you're doing this story, you should have to resend it.
Okay.
You have to, because I think I already sent it.
All right. For my culture segment, we're going to look at a list of the freaky Christmas
Are you sure?
European folklore.
Okay. Let's try it again.
The last message I have from you is the Christmas message.
Never mind, I got a message that said couldn't send.
Okay, now I've got it. All right. So this is from Euronews Culture by David Morquand. The strangest European Christmas folklore explained. While you're overindulging in the festive cheer and the rampant commercial takeover of these holidays, keep these strange Christmas folklore figures in mind. Whether it's the anti-Santa cat from Iceland or a child-chopping murderer from France, there's plenty that's bleak around the holidays. You may have heard of the Grinch, the dastardly yin to Santa's benevolent yang, but there are some strange Christmas traditions in Europe that might have slipped off your radar. Here are 5 of the favorites on Euronews, and by favorites they mean nightmare-inducing and not overtly racist. So sorry, Netherlands. Knows where to repeat on this list. We are, however, including a bonus silly one for cheer and all that. Le Perrier Fautard. This is France, Belgium, and Switzerland. Le Pierre Fautard, literally father whipper, is a cloaked and bearded character who acts as a St. Nicholas's horrific enforcer. Every 6th of December, he delivers punishments to naughty children, usually in the form of lumps of coal and beatings. Ah, my favorite. Plus, he loves noise, as his presence is usually accompanied by whips cracking, hoof scraping in the ground, and sounds of chains. The tradition harks back to 1252, when an innkeeper captured 3 wealthy boys on their way to enroll in a religious boarding school. Wishing to rob them, he and his wife drugged, murdered, and chopped up the scamps, letting them stew in a barrel. So what's the lesson there? Don't be wealthy and go to religious boarding school because somebody will put you in a stew? Discovering this, St. Nicholas resurrected the children and reassembled them. Patron saint of children and quite the wizard when it comes to thread and needle, St. Nicholas then cursed the innkeeper to an eternity of penance for the murders, twisting his body into a shadowy figure doomed to serve at his side, and thus was born Le Pierre Fautard. The tale has its variations and plot holes, as punishing a killer of children by making him torture misbehaving kids for all eternity sounds a bit nonsensical and not very curse-like. Also probably happy. Yeah, I get to torture more kids! Wouldn't it have been easier to just prevent the poisoning and dismembering in the first place? Since then, the tale has shown up in popular culture, in films, books, and famously in Jacques Letronque's song La Fille du Père Noël, which describes Pierre Fautard's son having a crush on Santa Claus's daughter. Interesting. Coming out of Italy, we have Befana the Witch. In Italy, a broomstick-riding witch named Befana delivers sweets and presents to good children and punishes the bad ones. Legend has it that the crone missed the birth of Jesus and has been doing the rounds on 5th of January, Epiphany Eve, as penance ever since. Harsh. She's portrayed as having ember eyes, sharp teeth, a cutting tongue, and a sooty face, as she comes down from the chimneys to both treat and punish. Many people believe that the name Befana is derived from the Italian version of the Greek word Epiphania or Epiphania, and effigies of her are burnt in order to mock her. I'm sure she likes that. Again, harsh. All this because she missed Jesus' birthday, which isn't even in December, it's in April. No wonder she missed it.
That's right.
Krampus. Everyone knows about Krampus. It's pretty popular, I think, from Austria and Germany. Half goat, half demon. The anthropomorphic terror is the counterpart to St. Nicholas and the son of Hel, the Norse god of the underworld. Krampus, whose name is taken from the German word for claw, shows up on the 5th of December, known as Krampusnacht. He beats children who are naughty and has even known to kidnap them. The Catholic Church tried to ban him for his resemblance to the devil, spoil sports, and the Nazis even had a go, banning Krampus for its pagan origins. To this day, there are still traditional parades celebrating Krampus, especially the Krampuslauf, Krampus Run, in which people dress up as Krampus attempt to scare younglings with their antics. Krampus also got something of a cultural resurgence in TV, movies, and video games. The character has featured in an episode of Scooby-Doo, American Dad, the 2015 horror film Krampus, starring Adam Scott and Toni Collette. It's not that bad. As well as a series of mediocre sequels and spin-offs like Krampus the Reckoning, Krampus Unleashed, Krampus the Devil Returns, and even Mother Krampus. Oh no, not Mother Krampus.
Mother Krampus. Mother Krampus.
Yeah, Mother Krampus. Jolak Koturin. I apologize for my Icelandic. This is from Iceland. In a beautiful town in Reykjavik on Lake Jartong Square is a giant illuminated cat sculpture called the Jolak Koturin. So far, so delightful. But this child-chomping Yule cat has a dark backstory. As the tale goes, the giant feline eats children who don't get new clothes for Christmas. And it dates back to 1932 when Johannes Ul Kultum, an Icelandic poet, wrote about the Yule cat in his book Jolin Koma, Christmas is Coming. His poem describes a large puss with glowing eyes that roams the countryside, going from house to house looking for children to consume. Should the scamps not be wearing the new clothes they got for Christmas? So that's you gotta wear your new socks or the cat's gonna eat ya. To avoid the fate, kids should do their chores in order to be deemed good enough to get new clothes, even if it's a modest pair of new socks, in order to remain amongst the living. Oh, and they should be thankful for the gifts they receive. Over time, it became a morality tale that states that we should all help each other in the spirit of season, not forget the luxuries we might be taking for granted, like socks, and help those less fortunate with small but vital gestures like new socks. Otherwise, it's a massacre courtesy of Hannibal Lecter. And we have the Kalikonzaroi. This is from Greece, Bulgaria, and Serbia. The Kalikonzaroi are hairy little goblins who live underground for most of the year, where they attempt to bring about the couplets by sawing down the world tree, or Yggdrasil in Norse mythology. Nefarious, but everyone needs a hobby. For Christmas Day and the following 12 nights, the goblins are allowed to roam the earth where they attempt to gain entry to people's houses and play pranks on them. So how best to avoid finding goblin shit in your bed or a rearranged home? Well, tradition states that you should hang a pig jawbone in the doorframe. Alternatively, put a coriander on the doorstep. It'll distract the Kalikonzaroi as they stop to count the holes. Apparently, they can only count to 2, so that will keep them busy for 12 nights before they are sent back to the healed world tree and begin their fruitless endeavor to hack its trunk for another year. And here's the bonus silly one. The Catalan log that shits out sweets and presents. That's right. The Cagatillo, or Tio de Nadal, is a wooden log decorated with a face that feeds treats throughout December. Then, on Christmas Eve, children beat the log with sticks and sing traditional songs to coax it into shitting out sweets and gifts. One of the songs goes like
Pinata.
this. Tio de Nadal, no cajas a enjades, que son masas saladas, Cajas torons que son mes bons, which translates to poop log, log of Christmas. Don't poop salted herring. They are too salty. Poop turons. They are much better. As strange as this all sounds, it's hardly surprising. Wander around the Christmas markets in Catalonia, and you'll end up stumbling across a caganer, a bare-bottomed pooping figure wearing a traditional Catalan Barentina red cap. The caganer, Catalan for pooper, figure traditionally depicts a squatting peasant with his trousers dropped to reveal a bare backside. At Christmas, the miniature figures are placed alongside Mary, Joseph, and baby Jesus. Well, good to celebrate excrement, I guess. Feces and defecation are common in Catalan folklore, including the popular Catalan phrase usually said before a meal, menja bé, caja fort i no tinguis por a la mort, which translates to eat well, shit strong, and don't be afraid of death. You know what? That's a great saying. Perfect. The tiki tradition isn't meant to be blasphemous, but rather a source of luck and prosperity. I mean, as long as you're shitting, that means you're alive, so it makes sense. As soon as you stop, you gotta start worrying. You have to eat more fiber. Luck and prosperity for the new year. One theory suggests that the caganer represents fertility and the fertilization of the earth, thereby being a symbol of prosperity and good health. And it turns out that Europe loves a pooper, as the caganer is not the only defecating character you can find. In Italy, specifically near Naples area, you can stumble across a cacone, or pastore che caca, a similar figure to caganer. Caca is also another word for poop. Also placed in the Napolitan nativity scene, it is a symbol of good luck and the miracle of birth. Similarly, the French have Pierre la Colique, and the Portuguese have cacos, a pooper who serves as a leveling device to bring the mighty down. So, power to the pooper. There you go, your wacky and strange Christmas celebrations all over Europe. On to this day in history.
Woo-hoo.
It's a bit smelly, but
cultures.
it comes from a good place.
Yeah, it comes from a colon. Anyway. Poop jokes. All right, this day in history. Let's see what kind of shit was going down then. 800. Year 100. Charlemagne, king of the Franks, became the first emperor of the Holy Roman Empire, a distant, long ancestor of ours. Go back, how many generations is year 800?
Too many.
Long damn time ago.
Yeah.
Like 1,200 years ago. How many generations is that? Anyway, we probably gotta almost know the Charlemagne, and of course, one of his descendants on this day also in 1066. One of his descendants was William I, also known as William the Conqueror, who was crowned King of England on this day, formally completing the Norman conquest. Norm! That's from Cheers. Everybody will yell Norm. That's where it came from. In 1776, on this day, during the American Revolution, General George Washington crossed the Delaware River, surprised the British at Trenton, New Jersey. That's fairly simplistic. It was British encampment, but it was mostly Hessians or Germans. And they surprised them on Christmas night because, as a lot of people forget, the United States was not founded on any religion, and George Washington could give a tinker's damn about Christmas. We didn't celebrate it in the colonies. It was that right? It was the Puritans that give a shit, and everybody else didn't give a shit. It was the Germans.
This is a fake holiday. It's not real.
Right, the Germans were so we surprised the Germans. George Washington surprised the Germans at Trenton because they were drunk on Christmas wine, and they thought, doesn't everybody get drunk on Christmas? And George Washington says, we don't. Wiped them out because, hey, well, they took a lot of prisoners. To be fair, in those days, just arresting people was enough to win the battle. Right? Winning wasn't necessarily slaughter like it is nowadays. We must slaughter everything on the battlefield. That's not what war was originally. It was taking prisoners. They're just fighters.
There's a reason morale is really important when it comes to war, because if nobody wants to fight anymore, you win.
Right.
So there's a lot of moral, like getting the morale down so that they don't want to fight anymore.
Yeah, this is what Hollywood's done to our mentality. I don't blame Hollywood. For every war movie, they have these conclusions that solve everything. Okay. And it's just bloody butchery in real life. They don't show, even though they show people dying, they don't show the real disgusting shit that you wouldn't want to watch. Because war is hell.
Yep.
All right, anyway, 1821, Clara Barton, the founder of the American Cross, was born in Oxford, Massachusetts. Happy birthday, Miss Clara Barton. Just wanted to help people. 1962, the film adaptation of Harper Lee's To Kill a Mockingbird premiered and became a classic, especially noted for Gregory Peck's portrayal of Atticus Finch. 1977, Charlie Chaplin passed away in Savor, Switzerland. The British comedic actor and director was widely regarded as one of the most important figures in motion picture history. Charlie Chaplin. People have heard of him. 1991, Mikhail Gorbachev resigned as presidency of the Soviet Union, which ceased to exist at the end of the year. The Soviet Union, I resign. And a week later, there was no Soviet Union. There was just Mikhail Gorbachev playing chess with himself. In 2006, James Brown, gonna jump back, kiss myself. The Godfather's soul died at the age of 73 on this day, 2073. Oh man, could play some James Brown. Papa's got a brand new band. Telephone ringing, guitar sound is awesome. Christmas celebrated. This is the featured event today. Christmas!
Yeah!
Although the precise origin of the date is unclear, Christmas is unclear. It's definitely not late December, but whatever. If you go by the Bible, I mean, that's where Jesus pops up the most. He's in a lot of romance novels. But if you check out the Bible...
romance novels.
If you check out the Bible, the shepherds were in the field, and the tax collectors were out, and that does not happen in December 25th. Sorry, folks. He wasn't born in December, near the solstice. He was born in spring. Sorry. But anyway, though the precise origin of the date is unclear, Christmas, commemorating the birth of Jesus Christ, is celebrated on this day, having been the first identified as the date of Jesus' birth by Sextus Julius Africanus in 2021. Roughly... 200 years after Jesus died, we decided this was his birthday. That's out of freaking thin air. So this Sextus Julius Africanus. Or it? Sextus. Yes. Sextus. Maybe it's Julius. Anyway, he's the guy to blame for all this. It's commercialized anyway. You know, it's just
it was probably not as commercialized as it is now.
And of course, Christians around the world go, you're going to feel our peace on earth even if we have to kill you. Anyway. And our feature biography, Anwar Sadat was born on this day, December 25th, 1918. He was the president of Egypt until he was assassinated by a bunch of scumbags. He was born in Mit Abu al-Kum, Egypt. Anwar Sadat, one of the really, truly good leaders of Egypt, that unfortunately was assassinated October 6th, 1981, at the age of 62 in Cairo. Other birthdays today. Humphrey Bogart's birthday. Louis, this is gonna be the start of a great friendship, or something like that. Play it again, Sham. He said Sham, not Sam. Play it again, Sham. You know, little slight lisp. Not the pronounced Sean Connery lisp. Or the Walter Matthau list. Walter Matthau.
Yeah.
Always talk like this. Anyway. Also, 1899, Humphrey Bogart was born. Rod Serling. The Night Gallery and Twilight Zone fame. It's his 100th birthday today. Man, Rod Serling's been gone for so long, it's hard to believe he just now turned 100. Man, the Twilight Zone was awesome. As was the Night Gallery. So short-lived show he was hosted on NBC. 1924 is also the birthday of Atal Bihari Vajpayee, can't pronounce it, Prime Minister of India. And 1949 is the birthday of Nawaz Sharif, Prime Minister of Pakistan. And happy birthday to Justin Trudeau, Prime Minister of Canada, turning 53 today. Born in 1971.
Wow.
And what other days is it today? It is Christmas Day. Yeah, Christmas Day. It's also Alphabet Day or Noel Day. All right, so it's Noel. Get it? Noel. So there's no alphabet. There's an A apostrophe alphabet. So it's alphabet. It's Alphabet Day or Noel Day. Some clever bastard out there thought of that one. We're going to suffer with that guy's silly sense of humor. I say guys and non-gender specific. Hanukkah is today, as we said. It's coincidental that Hanukkah changes annually. It has to do with moons or suns or something.
Something to do with the stars, and the stars happen to align for Christmas and a Hanukkah to be on the same day.
So spin your dreidel and of course, your menorah candle and all that fun stuff. National Pumpkin Pie Day, and those are all the days of today. So we try not to do too many things on Christmas. So have your Hanukkah, have your Christmas, and everything else on December 25th, 2024 on For Pumpkin Pie. And all that other
right, this has been Allison here from the Netherlands. I'm gonna go check out my. I'm gonna go make a cloud cake, which is like I guess it's like a fruit cake. It's just a spice cake kind of thing. That's what I'm baking for Christmas dinner today, and I think we're having fondue. So I hope you guys also have a good meal, even if you're by yourself. I will also be doing some Christmas karaoke where I'll be singing some Christmas songs on the internet like a clown. So that will also be happening. Yeah, we will see you tomorrow for Boxing Day for those people in the UK, and also in, I think, Europe. Also, there's another day off, the 26th. And
just getting a fight. And boxing.
For our Thursday 13, not sure. We're going to have a list of something. Maybe a list of something yearly. I don't know. And
things I found in my car.
13 things I found in my car when I moved across country. Hope you have a good, warm time, full of cheer and all that kind of stuff. Take care out there. Don't forget to subscribe, turn on those notifications, like this video, and comment down below what you're having for your Christmas meal, if you're having one, or your Hanukkah meal. What did you spin on the dreidel? And let's go to our mic drop moment.
Be sure to hit the like, subscribe, and notify buttons, and follow our other channels, Toxic Alley, History of Gravy, and Scratchy Old Records.